Starfield. Yeah, we're talking about it today. Uh, Probably not what you're used to seeing on this channel, but I kind of I kind of like the game, or I kind of like the developer, and I mean, honestly, it's complicated. It's very complicated. Starfield, if you know anything about the game and if you've played it, you know that there's a lot of opinions on it, and probably 80% of those opinions are true. I've played myself. I've played 231 hours, which is I feel like that's kind of enough to have an opinion on it, right? I've a little bit of background, I guess, before I go like too deep in this. I've played a lot of Bethesda games, and to be honest, they are some of my favorite games. I'm not saying they're perfect. In fact, as time goes forward, I look back on some of these games and think, wow, those weren't as good as they were when I was playing. They weren't as good as I thought they were. You know, retrospect and all that stuff. My first Bethesda game was Fallout 3. Um, now I'm not going to make a opinion. I'm not going to jump in on the whole discussion between Fallout 3 versus New Vegas. I've played them both several times, and I've had a lot of fun with both. The main story for Fallout 3, yeah, sure, it's kind of not great. And to be honest with you, that's like a running theme of Bethesda game stories, main stories. Kind of not great. But the rest of the game, and this is something you probably also hear if you know anything about Bethesda games, the rest of the game, the sandbox, the world that they build, more than makes up for the crappy writing. Uh, and that crappy writing that extends sometimes to, bad lore, bad history, lore breaks or lore inconsistencies, and non-canonical declarations of past lore. I mean, if you followed the Elder Scrolls games, going back to the first one, I've only ever played Skyrim to its fullest extent. I've played bits of Oblivion. I think I've played more of Morrowind than Oblivion. But if you go back to Arena and you move forward in time, the lore changes constantly because they keep making up new lore, and they come up with. I think before I get too far ahead, it seems like, especially starting with Oblivion, they make the story, they do what they want to do, and they bend the lore to the story. Sometimes that lore breaks, and sometimes you end up losing really good stuff. Now, a number of people much more popular and charismatic than me have made that point well over that they've abandoned some really good stuff in favor of kind of making it simpler and dumbing it down and all that stuff. And that's a generalization across the board, whether it's history, lore, gameplay mechanics, whatever. I'm not When it comes to the gameplay mechanics like traits and skills and those more core RPG elements, it's not as big of a deal to me. I like seeing uh, my dialogue options change based off of the kind of character I build. I like seeing the actual real world effect of the character, background on the world. But a lot of when I play Bethesda games, I tend to play it in a way where I don't want to say I role play, but I kind of role play on my own. I'm in my mind, I'm this character, and in my mind, I'm doing this thing. And of course, sometimes it's hindered by what the game allow. For example, like in yeah, not being able to kill essential NPCs. Part of one of my Skyrim playthroughs was playing a dragonborn that became High King. It's hard to become High King if you can't even kill a Jarl or whatever. Point being is I I wasn't as bothered by the crappy writing because I kind of just did my own thing. I I used their sandbox and built my own story, my own character, my own world, and my own all of the other stuff. Primarily in um, some of the newer games, Skyrim and Fallout 4. I played. I think I played over 1,000 hours in Fallout 4. Big thanks to modders for making that happen. Uh, I'm looking forward to mods for Starfield, but there's some question as to just how much work they're going to have to do to make the game playable for that long. I guess, I guess that's pretty much it for my background with Bethesda games. I enjoy the games. I have a lot of fun with them. I spend hundreds of hours in them. They're also like there's so much room for improvement, and they should hire good writers. They should hire me. I would love to write for Bethesda, but they don't hire writers. They just hire. I don't know who they hire actually. Whoever it is that made Starfield and Fallout 76. I guess that's who they hire. Uh, and yeah, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5. Yeah, what are those games going to look like? Will they learn anything from the response to Starfield? Um, I guess we'll see in 8 years when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. Uh, yeah, so Starfield. I left a Steam review saying it was a good DLC to Fallout 4 because that's kind of how it felt. Felt like a big expansion. It was not it was not really all that I wanted it to be, and I think that's the same is true for a lot of people that it's not really what was expected. Now, my expectations and my desires out of a Bethesda game are different from probably the average person. A lot of people were bothered by the lack of a seamless transition from planet surface to space warfare, for example. Um, I'm not as bothered by it. I guess I've gotten used to loading times over the years, and it's just not that big of a deal for me. Not to say that I wouldn't like the idea of seamless, traveling. I'm just, it's less of an issue for me. Um, Same with the lack of mobile transportation on planets. I'm not as bothered by not being able to just drive from one place to another because, to be honest, when you're on those planets, there's nowhere to go. The planets are, I don't know how to put it. I want to say useless because, for the most part, there's nothing to really do on them unless you need resources or unless you feel like building a base. And building the base is cool, kind of, for a little bit, but it loses its allure very quickly. Um, this is coming from somebody who really enjoyed the settlement building in Fallout 4. I absolutely loved building settlements in Fallout 4. That was, it kind of ties back into my own ability to, uh, role play or world build myself, I guess, because um, you can do really anything you want, or you can do a lot of things, and then mods let you do whatever you want with those building and removing building limits and adding in new uh, buildable items. So I really enjoyed that aspect. And Starfield's version of settlement building is subpar. It is not nearly as good. I didn't play Fallout 76 that much. I mean, I played it for probably an hour. I never went back to it. I might do that someday. I don't know. So I really don't know what settlement building's like in 76. It didn't seem all that different from Fallout 4, but a little bit that I did. But Starfield is just not their settlement building is they should completely revamp it. At least make it what Fallout 4 was. I mean, I feel like if you're not going to improve something, don't make it worse, you know? But I know a lot of people settlement building and base building and Starfield, it's not their thing, and I totally get that. So yeah, basically, but there's all these planets to explore. There's all these little what do they call them? Procedurally generated base, not procedurally generated base. There's bases that they reuse over and over again. So I found this happening to myself a couple times, where I'd get this deja vu. I'd be, on another planet in a base that I'm sure I've been in before, and oh yeah, there's that same box with the same loot in it. There's the same guy, yeah, and it turns out there's like something like 20 or so bases that they kind of rotate through, and then they just splot them down on the planet and whatever square you jump in. And my glasses keep turning blue, so I'm gonna take them off. Yeah, so basically, like, yeah, the the planets they build are like they're like abandoned islands. There's not really much of a reason to go there unless you really feel like going to every planet. Like I've gone to some. I mean, I think there's a couple of the major systems I've gone to the planets and I've tried to build bases and I've tried to do what I can with it, but there's just not much of a reason to do it. So I largely did not stick with it. Um, I don't really have a plan for this whole review, so to speak, or conversation, or this is just a kind of I've got bullet points and I'm just gonna ramble for as long as I can. Not as long as I can, but as long as I need to, I guess. So yeah, I do have some screenshots that'll kind of help, I think, make my some of my critiques a little bit more visual, like, so to speak. We'll get to those eventually. But yeah, the planets, it's just it's yeah, they 100% should have just probably cut, I don't know, 90% of the systems and then just focused on nearby systems. And I mean, we have all these made, we call it the settled systems, but out of out of all these planets, there's not really a lot going on. It's just mostly barren wastelands. And even the very first planet that was colonized by people leaving Earth, Jemison. This is supposed to be the very first place that humans land on outside of Earth, and there is one city on this planet, and other, what do they call them? Randomly placed uh, refineries or R&D places. But there's not any other actual settlement where people live. Not like uh, the main city, New Atlantis. There's no, there's not a new Tampa on Jemison. There's just New Atlantis, and that's it. One city, one very small city, and that's a reoccurring thing. The other major planet is Aquila, and the main city is Aquila City, of course, and that's pretty much the same thing. One major city, and I hesitate to call it a city because it's really just a village. It's 30 buildings and a wall, a couple walls. I mean, these two cities, New Atlantis and Aquila City, annoy the hell out of me. And this is the stuff that bothers me when I play these games, is that we have two major cities that are supposed to be the capital of major factions, and there's what 100 people living here. When you've got a spaceport that holds what, two or three ships. I mean that's to me that's embarrassing. Like that isn't these aren't capital cities, but we're made to believe that these are capital cities of multi-planet alliances, and that's another thing. The what is it? The United Colonies and the Free Star Collective. And this is where the writing in Starfield is. Let me preface this by saying I've had a lot of fun playing the game. The only way for me to have fun playing the game though is to ignore basically everything because the writing in Starfield is horrible. It is absolute garbage. I these factions. There's no real good reason for why they exist, and the wars that have taken place between them are equally laughable. I mean, United Colonies. Okay, so this is just a way to organize the colonist ships that are escaping Earth because Earth is doomed. The magnetosphere has collapsed because of reasons related to grav drives. Science. Uh, so Earth is, slowly becoming an uninhabitable wasteland where everything on the planet will be basically completely wiped off. Like 99.99% of everything on the Earth is just going to disappear for reasons. if you go to Earth, I got a couple. I think I got a screenshot of the pyramids. But anyways, the whole planet looks like the Sahara. It's just dust. Yeah. But these factions. So United Colonies, it's the first major settlement's New Atlantis, and I guess it's the last major settlement because they didn't really expand anywhere else. So New Londinium, that's another fairly big city, which they lost to Terramorphs. So yeah, I guess about half the cities in the United Colonies were lost after that unfortunate, fateful day when the Terramorphs attacked the city. I there's a number of space stations. There's like a medical space station. I don't know if that space station is a part. No, it's not a part of the United Colonies. Yeah, they have. Yeah, okay. There's one that like it's I forget where exactly it is, but it's a great place where you can sell illegal or illicit goods. Like uh forgetting the contraband and stuff like that. It's just some old rinky-dinky space station that it's only still open to try to. I think the Varun destroyed House Varun destroyed the original one, and so they rebuilt this new station in the same star system, but it's purposeless. So that's one of the three star systems, right? So that's another little tidbit about the one of the treaties is that each faction can only have three star systems. Um, why that is, I have no idea because there are what millions, billions, who knows how many star systems out there. I mean, we're going to limit ourselves to three for reasons. Anyways, so yeah, the United Colonies is supposed to be this big deal. They have this entire fleet, the system defense fleet, the Navy, all these starships, and why? What are they defending? One city and a number of tiny little factories that are scattered on various planets. I mean, there really isn't much of a human footprint. I think that's kind of the thing I'm working towards in my rambling is that there isn't much of a footprint for any of these factions. They claim to be, they're presented as these major institutions, but where are they? I mean, if New Atlantis is all that there is now, then and maybe there might be another settlement I'm missing, but we're what's I don't understand. And on the flip side, Tree Star Collective, they originally, but the Coes, the legendary Coes, what a wonderful name. The Coes, they went to Aquila and built up their cowboy empire to try to get away from those bureaucratic, regulatory United Colony bureaucrats, whatever. And they built up their, Red Dead Redemption, you know, I'm stealing that from there's a YouTuber. I'm gonna link him in the comments. He has an 8-hour review of this game. His name is the Patrician, and his review is way more in depth than mine. And it's if you've got time to kill, it's worth a shot. I'll put it in the description. But yeah, shout out to him for at least making me aware of this idea. Is that they basically the Free Star Collective is kind of this cowboy group. I kind of thought that they were trying to pull from New Vegas when I first played it. I thought, oh, this is kind of odd. You know, Space Cowboys. I mean, there was a TV show 20 years ago that I can't remember that kind of played off the similar concept, but it was whatever. I didn't really care. I think by that point, it became kind of obvious what the quality of the writing was going to be in this game. It was what it was. But the Freestar Collective, they're supposed to be this sort of I think they're kind of presented as an almost libertarian group where they're trying to get the, less government restrictions, whatever. But anyways, they're really not that much different from the United Colonies. Um, they still have a bureaucracy. They have I mean, everything is kind of decided by these businessmen that are completely corrupt, and I guess being led by a corrupt businessmen that are okay with killing innocent civilians is better than living under the whatever the United Colonies is. The difference in government is, I mean, it's interesting, I guess, but you don't really see it play out any differently. But anyways, the Freestar Collective, they still have their two main cities, unlike the United Colonies. So they still have Aquila City and Neon. I think it's called Neon on the planet Voli, which is a water planet. It's kind of an interesting idea, I guess, but the whole city is like a really cheap ripoff of Night City from Cyberpunk 2077, um, which it's kind of sad that you start to see this sort of, hey, we want this game to be like this, we want this game to be like that, but it's they fail at it. Like it's unfortunate to say the least. I honestly going to I hated Neon quite a bit. Um, I genuinely hate it. I mean, part of it is I can't. I go to Neon. There's the guy up top, the leader of Neon, who is on the board of governors or the council of governors for the Freestar Collective. I forget his name. I think he's usually in that Astral Lounge. Um, he's got a statue of himself in the main corridor. I can't remember his name, but anyways, I my thought process going in was this guy sucks. He's you know he's got the police under his thumb. He's leading this group, or leading these. He's corrupt. He's not a good guy. And I thought, you know what? I can't wait for the mission where I get to take him down. I can't wait to knock him out of power. And then that never happened. Never even got an opportunity. And that was one of the really annoying things. And that's one of the issues I have too, as somebody who tries to sort of do the role playing in my mind, who my character is, who I want to be, not being able to do that, it's frustrating. But but yeah, I should probably actually pull up some screenshots because you know, I made a number of screenshots. Um, yeah, I, another one last thing too about the Freestar Collective. So the Freestar Collective is an alliance between Neon and Aquila City. Why? Why did they feel the need to build an alliance? Who was threatening them? Space pirates? Maybe, but wouldn't it make more sense to get everyone involved? Because those the space pirates are kind of a thorn in everyone's side. It's not like I, this kind of leads me to my next point of why is there any friction between the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective? The reason why is shitty writing. But anyways, I'm going to pull up these pictures because uh, I took the time to take the screenshot, and you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna put them on here. Granted, the screenshots all look pretty bad, low quality, I mean. But anyways, yeah, some of the moments like this are actually kind of neat. These are the moments I think Todd Howard was like, you're gonna walk out of your starship, and you're gonna see cool stuff, and it's gonna be really cool. And that's true, like 10 times while you're playing, and then the rest of the times it's just not cool at all, actually. But I took a number of neat screenshots. I thought they were cool. Yeah, unfortunately, this is kind of like right in the middle of my thoughts. My thoughts on the faction wars. The faction wars, in my opinion, are one of the dumbest things. I mean, there's a lot of dumb things in this game, but it's one of the dumbest things in this game. And if you haven't figured it out by now, my main gripe with this game is the writing. It's the crap story. It's the crap factions. It's the crap history. It's all just crap. You know, I enjoyed the game. I had a lot of fun playing the game, but I had to ignore all the crap. And sometimes it's hard to do that. For example, when I realized what the ending of this game was, and I hadn't even gotten to the main quest yet, but like when I realized how the game ended, it nearly ruined my ability to play this game because suddenly I felt like I was doing everything for nothing. Like I was collecting all these coffee mugs. I had a really large coffee mug collection, which is something I kind of do in real life. And, I don't know, I just accumulate coffee mugs. But, anyways, I got all those coffee mugs for no reason because I was about to leave all that behind. And anyway, I'll get to that later. Faction wars. How does the first faction war start? If I remember correctly, the United Colonies, they put, I'm trying to remember which stupid event caused this. I want to say that they put a medical station in the the Narion star system, and the Free Star Collective. I can't remember exactly who initiated the war, but basically, I'm just gonna put it in dumb terms. One side is something that was really irrelevant to the other, and the other side decided to go to war over it. Now this, yeah, it's just just for the sake of having it on here, I'm gonna look up exactly what it was. I don't know if this is actually on the video or not, screen sharing, but let's see. Yeah, it's called Starfield. Starfield faction wars. Hopefully my keys aren't too loud because my microphone is right there. Yeah, I'm just looking for a simple wiki. If I had prepared this better, then this would have been, well, better. There we go. Starfield factions. All right, let's see. Yeah, Free Start House Faroon. I tell you, they have a chance to actually like make House Faroon like a decent faction, although they're not going to be able to do that because they just can't. They don't have the writers for it. Okay, here we go. United. Okay, in 2308, the United Colonies. This is according to the Starfield wiki. Yeah, starfieldwiki.net, in case you're interested. Uh, in 2308, the United Colonies instigated a war with the Free Star Collective after establishing a farming settlement in Lunara. Yep, they built a farm and caused an interstellar war. Lasted about a few years. About a few years. I think this is the second war. Yeah. And you see how the upper hand for a while until the laws at the Battle of Cheyenne. They call it I don't know, it's just so horrible. They signed an armistice in 2311, which banned xeno warfare and mechs. And this is the Treaty of Narion. They divided uh, each faction into having three star systems. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the Sol system, the solar system, or as some people call it, the Sol solar system. Oh, whatever. Um, it is held by the United Colonies. There are actually a couple unique settlements there on Mars and Titan. I believe it's Titan. It might be Europa, but I think it's Titan. Very small settlements, but settlements nonetheless. Yeah, for some reason they don't have the original war because it must have been the first war that was started by the creation of that space station. See if I can find that one on here. I had it. Oh, yeah, the Nerion War. That's one where all right, that the one I just mentioned from 2308 to 2311, that's a colony war. The Nerion War. This was 2194. The UC built a medical research station known as the Clinic, which you may have been to if you played the game. In the previously independent Nerion system, but the inhabitants of Nerion saw this as a violation of the independence they had been promised under the Centaurus Proclamation and demanded the removal of the station. And well, you got a medical research station that's a threat to your sovereignty, and so war. Um, I'm sorry. This is just the dumbest shit in the world. You've got, and okay, so a clinic caused an interstellar war at one point, right? And you know, 20 years or so later, so what caused the colony war? I have a really terrible memory. Oh yeah, a farm. Okay, a farm and a clinic caused two interstellar faction wars where somehow many people died, and it left the two factions very bitter against one another. Perhaps that's why there's not many people in this game, because there's only a handful of settlements. I'll admit, there are a couple more. There's a one. There's that one mining colony that you have to go to with Barrett when he's trying to research what happened to his husband. Forget the name of that settlement. I'm pretty sure it's in the UC though. But yeah, I don't know. I think a newborn child could probably make a better reason for war. Although, like, I have a hard time seeing a reason for war. You have all of these planets, all these resources. I mean, for one thing, are you telling me you really have to put this medical research station in that system? And are you really telling me that you'd go to war against these other groups because they like it's just not realistic. It's it's as if somebody was like running out of time. They had a due date approaching and they just said, here's something. This is a thing that technically works. It's garbage, but it works. And that's the colony war. That's those are the faction wars. Yeah, the lore, I find lore to be one of the most interesting things in a game. When I first played Skyrim, I read so much about the background events of the game, about the great the Great War. I think they call it the Great War between the Old Mary Dominion and the Empire. I bought all the actual physical books that the company sold on their website that compiled lore, and I read on Elder Scrolls wikis about wars of the past and the Dragon Break, and that I love that stuff. I'm big on lore and history, and I mean history. I don't know how many history books I've got. I love that stuff. I love writing. I write books. It's just it's my it's where I get a lot of for lack of better words pleasure from is seeing and understanding, learning about the world in front of me. And actually, this this picture is a good. It's a really good embodiment of the world of Starfield. It's empty. There's not much there. It's just a fun playground. There's nothing really going on. That's of, it's worthy of anyone's time. Um, some cool pictures. There's one of my ships. I don't remember which character that was. I did take a couple of neat screenshots, but if I remember correctly, this is the planet where later on in the game, I think I could be wrong, but I think this is where as you're going through this research facility, you kind of like go back and forth between other universes, and it was an interesting idea, neat concept. Although, like that video I mentioned before, they brought this up. I didn't think about it at the time, but you're like I think you're going. Well, maybe I could. He might have been wrong actually. I can't remember exactly, but it was his idea was that you're going from one point in time in one universe to a different point in time in another universe. But you know, the idea being is that the two universes are, time is flowing as it does, but you're leaving at this side and then popping in over here on this side. And you're not really at the same point in time in that alternate universe, but I don't know if that's actually true. I haven't, you know, I haven't actually played a game in its entirety since probably October-ish. I have been playing again recently, but I had to take a break because it was just, it was getting kind of stale. Here's the pyramids of Cairo. You're looking at Earth. It basically all looks like this. Everything's been wiped off. I guess I don't maybe um I don't know, maybe for like a couple of days gravity stopped working and everything just flew off. You know, that would be the kind of writing actually that I would expect in this game, but who knows? Uh Now here's the Martian colony. New Sidonia? I think it's just called Sidonia. There's a song called New Sidonia. I keep mixing them up. But anyways, I thought this was a pretty cool station. I actually wanted to buy an apartment here or something. I wanted to have a some like a player home of some sorts because there's all these apartments. And I thought, oh, of course, one of these will be available to purchase. And no, none of them were. I'm one of those. Oh, I don't want to say I'm a Mars fanboy, but I do like the idea of Martian colonization, the idea of you know colonizing other planets or moons of space is something I find to be really interesting and fascinating. And actually, the one good thing this game did was reinvigorate my interest in, uh, I guess, astrology. And astrology as in planets, not as in palm reading, but astrology and science fiction, of course, but also looking at habitable planets, or not habitable, potentially more habitable planets for future colonization. And after watching a lot of YouTube videos, like a lot, yeah, Mars is not really the greatest place to go to. But I still love Mars. It turns out I think was it Titan or Europa are pretty strong candidates. Or there's this other moon called Enceladus, which is also potentially a good candidate. On a side note, someday when the sun starts a supernova and it expands and eats up what's it Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, they should stop theoretically right before Jupiter. But as with the sun having expanded so much, those outer planets in their moons will be in a new habitable zone, which means it's entirely possible that these moons, which actually they appear to have the ingredients for life, could actually foster life of some sort. That doesn't necessarily mean, humans walking around, but it's one of those neat things that, like, oh yeah, millions of years from now, or billions. I don't remember exactly how long, but there's hope for life and the system, or something like that. Anyways, back to Starfield. Another neat screenshot. Look at that. Yeah, if unfortunately these screenshots really aren't the main reason why I played these games. So, oh yeah, bugs. uh, I will say that Starfield didn't have many bugs. Um, and the ones that were there are actually pretty funny. And these screenshots, they're perfect because they've got the captions on there. Like I was just thinking about this time. I was just thinking that this time I cannot read. I was just thinking that this is about what, or you can read it. I can't read it, but the quote's kind of oh, I thought that they blended well with the picture. I'm not a fearful man, but I am just a man, and he's actually just a head. This was actually like a weird glitch on that. Actually, it's on everywhere. Where we would land with this particular ship, and we would both um, spawn like right. Like you got to imagine that the ground level that the spaceship is sitting on is like 3 feet beneath this floor right here, and his head's poking out. That you kind of get stuck there too sometimes. That's just the thing that happens. It's Bethesda. But here's another thing that happens. Andrasia or Andrea. I don't know how exactly you're supposed to pronounce it. I think everyone calls her Andrasia, but it's not the. I suppose it's not the correct pronunciation. Also, according to the patrician guy I mentioned before. Um, cool bug though. It's there's some kind of issue with her. Uh, there's a brain farts are pretty bad. Um, yeah, I can't think of it. When you're sneaking around, sneak. I guess that's what it is. She goes invisible when she's crouching, and for some reason, just her head's crouching or invisible. Yeah, brain farts. I will keep an eye out for that in the future. Haha. Where's your eye at? Where's the face at? Here's another one. This was actually from a couple days ago. I was playing the Three Star Collective, the cool cowboy ranger quest line, and she's dead, but it's hard to tell, but she's actually standing up, you know, like arms out as if she's holding a weapon, but there's no weapon, and she's dead. It's a very an interesting bug. Um, here's another one from that same quest line. I was confronting Ron Hope, who is another just dumbass character. Um, if you've played this quest line, then you know how dumb this writing is. Like Ron Hope, this guy built on this random empty planet, decided to build a basically a manufacturing plant for spacecraft, and for some reason felt the need to try to make fertilizer because profits were down, and he put the fertilizer in people's farms without them knowing it, and then decided to kill the farmers to get the fertilizer back because it had valuable minerals in it. And during the investigation of the aggression towards these farmers, he kind of just helped us, and then he got caught. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's writing anything in this place. Again, if you ignore the writing and you just play and pretend like everything's different and you shoot people, it's not too bad. Oh, here's another interesting faction mission. This one was part of the Vanguard quest, and you're trying to figure out what's happening with the Terramorphs. Um, an interesting creature, of course. I thought it was a cool. I thought the quest line for this particular faction was one of the high points of the game. I think that's probably a common opinion. It seemed neat, although I think the idea of having a former UC general that's kept hidden underground being the cause of it all is more lazy writing. It just I don't I just don't like it. I think it would have made more sense for, well, we have this terramorph problem. It's kind of been growing for a while. Now it's at our doorstep. Now we have to do something about it. The entire settled system. This story could have been the main storyline, I guess, in another universe. Um, I really enjoyed this part, seeing New Atlantis. under threat like this and the way the world changed, I thought, wow, this is actually pretty cool. This is, it might not be able to tell, but it's a hole in the wall of a barricade that came down to, to stop that guy right there. And yeah, there's a lot of potential. Like every other Bethesda game, there's a lot of potential here, and they just squander it for some reason. I had 5 years at least of solid production time. I mean, at one point I started playing with console commands, and I just wanted to see, how many Terramorphs can survive against X amount of Freestar Collective soldiers. As it turns out, the Freestar Collective soldiers weren't much of a match for the Terramorph. Um, but it added a new flavor to the game. Here's another screenshot from the whole Terramorph thing. I really do think that this quest line could have been a lot more than it was if it was better done. Now here's a couple screenshots from one of the final missions when you're going through the old NASA building, which managed to survive whatever it is that wiped away all remnants of human. Oh, 99.99% of all human uh, remnants on Earth. But what can you do? Yeah, it's pretty well intact. There's like 10 or 15 structures left on the surface of the planet, but there's an entire underground facility. A-okay. Oh, yeah. Back to the size of these cities. Cities. This is going to help kind of make that point clear. A couple of neat pictures I thought. These actually they don't show the full extent of how small they are, but this does. So there's a condo or something that you get a penthouse suite, which honestly, like they really should have thought this out better. You get the suite and you can basically see in every direction. And well, this is what you see in every direction. I mean, it's hard to even tell where the city really ends and where the rest of the planet begins. Like you get this is actually probably the most charitable picture of the city. You actually get a little bit of all that out there. The what is it? I think it's the House Varun embassy or something like that. And then a pretty big lake, which I guess you could say, oh, the lake stops the growth of the city and whatever. And well, what about every other direction? Again, here note the space pad with enough space for one, two, three ships. This is the capital of the United Colonies and one of the first location that colonists went to after leaving Earth. This is like the point of entry for the rest of the universe for people leaving Earth. And this is what they built. This is sad. This is just sad. Here's the Freestar Collective. The Freestar Collective, Aquila City. I think I didn't have the same height, so the view's a little bit different, but it's very similar though. You still see undeveloped lands pretty far out, and it's basically that's all there is. I mean, half of Aquila City is this tarmac for the planes or for the planes for the spaceships landing. There's I don't know maybe 4 or 5 spots, and that's also being very charitable. Um, for being capital cities, why isn't this all developed? Why? Okay, why isn't there another city on the same planet? You go to these planets, there's just one major settlement. You might find one home on this planet, for example. On the other side of the planet, for some reason, there's a small farm. But that's it. Why isn't there another town? Maybe like on the other side of this mountain, Maybe some people that thought that the worship of Solomon Co thought it was stupid, and they decided to go over there and build, anti-Coville or something like that. I don't know. Why is this it? And I think I could if I could build settlements the same way I could in Fallout 4, maybe I could just let it go. But this is it. You got these two major cities, two major settlements. Okay, three major settlements if you include Neon, which you should include Neon. There, those are the big three. And then you have the secondary settlements like Sidonia, the place on Titan, the mining company that you go to with Barrett on that planet, wherever it is. Gagarin. Yeah, that's the name of it. And there's a handful of scattered settlements, but in total, and I think this is also being charitable, there's maybe 20 total settlements when you include the big ones and the more minor ones. 20. That's all we've done since we left Earth in 21 whatever, 20 settlements. There are more ships in these planets' orbits than there are settlements in the damn universe. Like what is the reason behind it? There is no good reason, but why? It's just, and here this is something I thought was kind of annoying, which maybe it's not annoying, I don't know. This is like a historical site of some old building from like 120 years ago. Maybe it's where Solomon Coe once rested his feet. But like, how the settlement hasn't been there that long, and I get that you want to preserve things, but I, it just doesn't seem to me like this is where that would be. It doesn't fit very well here, and maybe I'm just nitpicking with this one, but uh, I I just yeah, that's the last picture. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, let's get a good picture to just kind of rest. There's a good picture. That's my character in the background, a little black silhouette. I thought this was kind of neat, but yeah, there's so much. I'll leave it on this. Actually, I'm suddenly really into not suddenly, but since this game came out, suddenly into space and all that fun stuff. Um, yeah, terrible writing though. I don't, the writing behind the grav drives and it somehow managed to destroy the atmosphere of Earth. Like, was that really a necessary component of the game? Like, are you telling me that people wouldn't have like spread out into the solar system and or the universe, the galaxy, if Earth hadn't been destroyed? Like, did Earth need to be destroyed for people to want to go elsewhere? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, let's just look at human history. Why did anyone go to the Americas? Because they could, because they were exploring, because there was something to be gained from it, wealth or, uh, I guess we ask them more religious objectives or whatever. But it's not inconceivable to think that we would have, at the very least, colonized other worlds in the solar system and beyond if given the opportunity. So I don't know. Or yeah, I don't know why that was something that had to be done. I don't know why there are so few settlements. I don't know why there are multiple factions. I mean, I don't know why House Maroon would be elevated to such a height when really they're just a religious group. I mean, you wouldn't expect the Catholic Church to have a seat at the UN. Maybe they do. I really don't know for sure, but you wouldn't want. I mean, you wouldn't want, but you wouldn't expect a religious group to have that kind of uh, political power. Maybe they have that kind of influence, but not a seat at the table. I mean, the other weird religions in the game aren't elevated that way. The universe sanctarium or whatever, or the secular group, the enlightened, both of which are very strange, interesting. I guess I don't know. I don't really have opinions on them. Um, yeah, I'm running out of steam for this rambling. I need some water. But yeah, I don't. I'm just kind of really disappointed. I think That's where I am because I look at this game and I see what could have been, and I see what is there before me, and it's like why make the game if you're not going to push it to its full potential, even half of its potential. This is child's play. I don't even know if I use that correctly, but this is not high quality work. It looks fine to me. Okay, I'm not that big. I don't care about perfect graphics or perfect load. Like that stuff is like preferable, I guess, but like it's not a deal breaker. The bugs aren't deal breakers. I played 3 New Vegas on a PS3 for years. God damn, that was a struggle, but I still did it because I enjoyed it. This just doesn't quite do it the way that the old games did. It just, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. I don't know what to say. It's part of me is just thinking like, wow, did they actually publish this? Like, wow, is this really what this, they okayed this. They saw this finished product and said, this is good to go. And I'm baffled by it because not only is this is Bethesda Game Studios, okay? I mean, high expectations, right? I mean, I think there's few studios that high expectations. Maybe I'll bring that back a bit. We expect certain things. Okay, we don't expect a perfect game, but we expect a good sandbox and good gameplay, and there at the very least we get that core Bethesda experience, and this is just hollow of that. It is just there's nothing like that there, and I hope to God that mods can try to patch it up, but I don't think that mods can patch this up. I don't think mods can do for this game what is necessary to make it stand up next to the previous games that came before it. I don't think that that's something that's feasible, which is unfortunate to say the least. Um, I It's a shame because I'm a big fan of science fiction, big fan of space, and naturally when I heard that Bethesda was making this game, it checked off everything I wanted. I loved Outer Worlds. I had expected this to kind of take it to another level, and in some ways, I guess they tried. But is it better than the Outer Worlds? I got more uh, play time out of it for sure, like 3 or 4 times over. But I feel like a quality of writing. Mm, I don't know. I mean, the Starfield cycle isn't over. There's at least one DLC coming. I would expect. I think with Bethesda, you could expect like 2 to 3 major story expansions. So Shattered Space comes out at some point. I Yeah, I don't even know what to expect out of that. Um, Hopefully it changes my perspective on things. Hopefully they fix some stuff. But like I said, a lot of the fixes that are necessary are just substantial to say the least. Anyways, I'm gonna try to keep the rest of this very concise because I'm not sure how much farther along I want this to go. The main story is uh I didn't care for it. The whole idea of, hey, we need to gather all these stones and build a portal to another universe. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. In execution, I'm not so sure. The idea of the multiverse is interesting to me, but when you put it into a video game, when you put it in any story, it really changes how you look at that world that you're in. If if I'm not going to stay in this universe, why should I give a shit about anyone? And I think it's kind of a weird realization to have is like, oh well, why what I mean, I guess maybe this is one good thing that comes out of this game is it causes it leads me to ask this question. It's like, why do I value what I value in this universe? And how different would all of this be in my own universe here, all this around me? How different would this be if I could just walk into another universe? If I could leave all this behind, never come back? Like what would cause me to care about the people around me? Um, this is a question I actually hadn't thought about until just now, which is kind of interesting. Because when I was playing the game, I felt a sense of pointlessness to everything. Like, why do anything at all? It's all nothing matters. That was kind of my mentality, and it honestly for a short time, it ruined the game for me because if nothing matters, why do anything at all? Why exist? I mean, it became like this weird philosophical doom loop that led to me actually having to make a new character. As weird as that sounds, I needed to make a new character. I started fresh, and I was able to just keep that whole mental mess in a different universe, I guess. And that made the game playable again. It's very strange, not something I expected to happen, but still, I don't plan on beating the main storyline in this game because I don't. I mean, I'm gonna get this far in the game where I can collect my NASA coffee mug because that's important to me. But beyond that, I'm not. I'm not reassembling all the stones or whatever the thing's called. I forget the name. I forget everything. When I'm in front of this camera, I forget everything I mean to say. But yeah, it just doesn't interest me. And I've actually done the new game plus a few times to try to see that those unique new occurrences when you open up those doors into the constellation room, and I never did see anything different after I want to say I did 5 or 6 new game pluses, and after that I just said screw it, YouTube videos will suffice. I wasn't that interested in going through them all. Um, it's just not that much fun to collect stuff and do the stupid floating mini game where you got to go through these little sparkly things. It's just, a good main storyline for this game would have been, maybe Earth was uninhabitable. Maybe it was like Venus, and you couldn't live there without being in a spacesuit or without being in some kind of enclosed module. And so colonization was a way to have a better life. But the terramorphs were threatening it. Maybe you don't call it a terramorph. Maybe you call it something different that's still a threat. But I don't. Who knows? I mean, maybe I think they could have done anything that would make the main story better. But the stakes they kind of disappear to me when you realize that if you're a hardcore Unity Colonies fan or a hardcore Freestart Collective fan, and you're really fighting to try to maintain their uh, power in the system, the settled systems. Like, why do that if you can just step through these doors, leave the universe behind? It's kind of meaningless. But I think I've rambled long enough. Um, TLDR, this game it's a fun enough sandbox to play in to just kind of you know run, shoot, loot, repeat. It's very similar to Fallout 4 in that way. Although there's fewer places to do all that. If you don't mind the not very unique millions of planets that are out there, hundreds, however many there are, then I guess you'll like that too. But if you're playing for a good story, keep searching, or just don't buy the game. I mean, I've had fun with the game. I will say that. I think all the writing in this game, or the vast majority of the writing for the major quest lines, are just not good. Now, I didn't even mention the Ryujin quest line where you do like corporate warfare and you spy and do uh some sneaky stuff. Um I thought that was a pretty like uninteresting quest line too. I just didn't see the point of it. For it being as big of a quest line as it was. I mean, maybe, the later missions when they're trying to put together that particular implant, maybe that would have been a good 2 or 3 mission collection. But by and large, though, the quest line was very forgetful. Um, yeah, I just as a long time Bethesda fan, and by a long time I mean 15 years roughly, I'm disappointed. And I'll say this: I didn't expect. Well, after Fallout 76 launched, and after all the mess that was, I knew the Elder Scrolls 6 wouldn't be what I wanted it to be. And after playing this game, I'm nervous. I keep hoping that maybe they'll just go back to the level of quality they had before, and and then they'll be okay. And maybe they will. Elder Scrolls does have enough existing lore for them to not have to write that much if they choose to use it. But if they do their own thing and it's on the same level as Starfield, well, I, I don't know. There's I don't know who really is at fault for this bad writing. Does it lie with Todd Howard? Is it the lead quest designer, that Emil Pagliaro dude? I really don't know 100% who is most accountable for this. But if if that the variable that is leading these poor stories to come to light, if whatever processes it makes these stories come into fruition, if that doesn't change, and Elder Scrolls 6 is it's going to be somewhere between Starfield and Fallout 4. I mean, I think you can pretty much guarantee the main quest for the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be trash. The surrounding quest lines will be hit or miss. The world will be fun, probably, to, you know, kill, bandits and such. But I'm very doubtful that it will be on the same level as Skyrim. But Skyrim, I think, looking back, was probably the peak for Bethesda. And I say this as somebody who really enjoyed Fallout 4 as well. I really liked Fallout 4, but you know, the main quest for Fallout 4 was, well, yeah, it was a big step down. I mean, Skyrim's main quest of being the Dragonborn was okay. It was good. I think, there's a YouTuber that said that they really should have utilized the full Dragonborn character in that main story. That you got the Dragonborn. This is like a legendary mythical hero for the Nords, and you kind of just don't use that at all in your main story. You use this like pretender guy, Ulfric, right? Like, or as a as part of the Civil War there at least. But I don't know. Yeah. My recommendation when Starfield is about 20 bucks, maybe 30, but probably 20 bucks on Steam, I'd give it a buy. But I wouldn't get it for full price, which I believe is $70. So yeah. If you're still watching this, I mean, I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been like at least 40 minutes. Uh, Props to you. Kudos to you for listening to me ramble for this long. Um, yeah, I appreciate it. Um, and if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you have any additional thoughts, if there's anything I missed, which of course I missed a whole lot because I didn't make a plan for this. I just thought, you know what? I got a lot of thoughts on Starfield and I want to put it out there in the world. And I hit record. And I made a bullet point list right here. And I didn't look at it once. It's blurry, but yeah, there you go. I should probably, you know what? Now's a good time to look at it since you know, I decided to do this. Yeah. Yeah, the first. Oh yeah. It's a good thing I looked at this card. Um, the other thing I seem to have missed over, crap history. Hey, I think I caught that one. Um, as I mentioned before, I've recently been playing through the Ranger quest line, and I thought of like the first are a mercenary group of former Free Star Collective soldiers, and they're mad at individual civilians within the Free Star Collective for not defending them after the war. So they've decided, okay, we'll attack them, the civilians. It's not that hard to write a story. I mean, maybe it is. I don't fucking know. If okay, I'm just gonna, I'm just getting more and more disappointed, angry. Maybe that's the right word. Like it just had to write a simple backstory. Oh, what happened to the first? Oh, they're just against the existing government because the existing government was against them. That makes sense, right? If you're commanding officers, you're the people, the political people that led you, that sent you into war, are suddenly turning against. Yeah, it makes sense. You'd be pissed off at them. Why would you be pissed off on the citizens? What are the civilians supposed to do? Like, oh, the Free Star Collective signed a treaty with the UC. Let's attack the Council of Governors. What are they supposed to do? I yeah. Well, anyways, thanks for watching. I hope somebody at Bethesda sees this. Hire new writers. Hire me. Just hire somebody. Actually, I mean, there's other people actually. I would highly recommend. The person I mentioned before, the patrician. I think if you had him on your team, he'd probably stop you from writing a lot of garbage. There's another YouTuber I watch. I don't. I'm assuming it's not his actual name. Zarek Zahakara. That guy knows a lot of stuff. I'm gonna link him in this channel as well. Hire him. Hire somebody and get rid of whoever it is that's writing this stuff, whoever it is that's leading the quest designing group, which I think that's that Emil dude, but you got to do something because if you roll into the Elder Scrolls 6, which I'm assuming is something that'll begin full production, if not next year, then the following year, Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be probably it'll be not great. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm completely wrong if you want. And I guess yeah, I guess that is it. And I'll see you guys next time with another video, probably not on video games. And I didn't stop recording, I just turned off the video. I should have had a cup of coffee before I did this because it's been a long day. It's been a long day. 10 hours, 10-hour work days. All right. Goodbye.